All right, welcome to computer virtualization. Yay. So we've got a long ways to go and about 15 weeks to get there. So if you're not here during this recording, remember, this is the day I'll be doing this. Every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we will hit this section where I'll go over the new current unit, what's going on in the week, what to expect, what I expect from you, all that kind of fun stuff. By the way, I'm Leo Chavez. If you haven't noticed, I'm down here in the corner. If you need anything, please feel free. These are the hours I'm going to be in WebEx. So if you want to share your camera, share your microphone, do that whole thing, I'll be in here during all of these times. So 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., like I said, will be, that 10 a.m. hour really will be reserved for the recording. And then after that, after a long lunch, I guess you could call it, 2 o'clock, 2 to 5, I'll be back in here where you can come and ask your questions, hang out, work through your labs. It's I don't know, it's a fairly decent substitute for working in the classroom where your instructor is. Feel free to just join WebEx, mute it and minimize it, and push it down into the corner and get your work done. And the moment you have an issue or something like that, just pop in or unmute your mic or whatever, and just ask a question. I should be around. If nothing else, worst case scenario, I'll put a little note. If I have to step away, something like that, I'll put a little note on the screen that says, I'll be right back, 10 minutes, something like that. Then again, on Thursday, 2 o'clock, 2 to 5. So I'll have I have 3 sections. So I'll have all of those sections come in at the same time. So this is just kind of more of a free-for-all. So you might see students that are not in your class in this meeting, but again, it's just to wrangle everybody to make sure that anybody that needs to ask a question, that prefers to ask it in a more, one-on-one or, I guess, people feeling. I don't know what you call that. Right? With all of this stuff, we're a million miles away from each other, so this is a way for us to connect just a little bit closer. My office, there's technically not one. My house is it. So online only for this one. If you ever need to find the WebEx link, it's here. It's here. And it's also, looking at Unit 1, it's here under Engage with Others. So it'll be in every single unit. So it's going to be impossible for you to not be able to find the WebEx link. It's going to be in 3 different places at all times. And it's always going to be up here on top. So I'm only a click away. But that doesn't mean it's the only way to get in contact with me. If you prefer the phone, I've got my phone number connected up to this guy. So if you call, this rings. Just let me know how you want to get in contact. Phone call. We can do that too. And then obviously email. So it's not just email, right? We've got Google Hangouts, so you can hit me up on that if you prefer just kind of that asynchronous chat. Email me or send me a message in Hangouts. Either will do. I'm not partial to either. I guess Hangouts does better with the emojis though. So if you're an emoji fan, I guess that might be the better way to do it. Anyway, announcements. You've likely gotten my initial announcement yesterday, kind of giving you some information about how we're going to get started, especially today. So no big deal. I think most of it is just a repeat of what I'm saying now, right? Join me 10 a.m. Yay, that's now. And attendance. This is the big one. This is the one that confuses absolutely everybody because nobody does it the same. So I wanted to take all the pressure off of you and put that on me. I'll take care of this. Here is the deal. Here's what you've got to do. If you have logged into the course at all, right? So you saw this on the sidebar. You're into Unit 1. You clicked on Unit 1. You opened up anything. You've clicked on a link, looked at the quiz, opened up the PDF, clicked on the WebEx link, anything like that. You show up as having logged into the course and done something. You don't have to, submit anything or anything like that. You don't have to go that far. You just have to access something in the course, and then I can check up on that. So if you have accessed the course, you have been considered present for the week. Since this is an online class, I mean, when you really strip that away, there's really not much to it, right? Just do your work each and every week, and you're good to go. And so as long as you're looking at things, making sure things are, getting an idea of what you need to do every week, say around Monday, then you're going to be just fine. And again, just contact me. Let me know if I can help in any way, and I'll be more than happy to do so. All right. Q&A forum, if you have any issues, questions, anything like that, and none of the other avenues of communication are your thing, you can always post it in the forum. One of the cool things that I'll do with this is if I have an issue come down that is going to affect everybody, I will throw it either in announcements or the Q&A forum. If it's going to be a feedback kind of situation, this is where I'll put it, Q&A forum. If it's more of a, hey, just be aware, I'll probably put it in announcements. But if anything's going to happen in the course, right? Like if I'm not going to be here on a Tuesday, which should not happen, but may, I guess. I've got videos from previous semesters that I can put out to you, so it's not a big deal if I don't record one. I have one, but I will let you know right here. If I plan on rescheduling or something like that, I'll probably drop it in the Q&A forum so I can get some feedback on when y'all would rather me do that or something like that. Anyway, you know what this course is about. It's in the name, right? Computer virtualization. So this course is quite literally just running computers inside of computers. It's like it's computer inception. So we'll talk about that more here in a little bit. If you need the syllabus in either way, please just click on one of these. It gives you the general idea. And your schedule is going to be over here somewhere. Actually, once you get into the unit, I think that's... Well, all right, it's not here. I'll get it here. There should be a calendar here telling you what's coming up, when things are due, and all that kind of fun stuff. But the short and skinny of that is everything will open up on Monday. So Unit 1 opened up yesterday, Monday, and it will close Sunday, 11:59. Now, because this is an online course, I know, and because of the current situation that we're in, I mean, things happen. Stuff happens. We have 10 units in this class, which gives us a lot of leeway with if something comes up in a week and you just cannot complete your work or some of your work, or, like you got the quiz done, you got the lab done, but you weren't able to take care of the case project or something like that, please let me know and we can work toward a solution on that. While I'd like everything to be in on Sunday, 11:59 p.m., life happens. I understand that. So reach out. As long as you stay in contact with me, let me know what's going on. Give me an idea of when you plan on getting back to normal. That's fine. I'm okay with that. This is pretty much how any job would be anyway. Keep in touch with your boss. Let him know how your life is going, and as long as you're not gone for 6 months, everything's going to be okay. We can work toward a solution on that. So just keep me in the loop. Keep in contact with me. So this stuff is pretty much the same stuff that you're going to get in every single class. I'm pretty sure they copied into everybody's stuff. But TSCC Student Handbook for any of the questions about TSCC policies, students, any of that kind of stuff. How to use Moodle. This is probably your second semester, third semester now. So you probably don't need this resource, but just in case you forget how to do something or other. But don't forget, I've been in this in Moodle for quite a while. So I can likely answer that question as well. So just reach out to me if you have anything. Technical difficulties. If you have the ability to get in touch with me because your computer has bursted into flames and you have no recourse and no way to do anything else, yeah. But this really kind of goes over what happens when it's out of your control, as in Moodle went down, right? So yeah, in all of those cases, you email me and let me know. Email, voicemail. Again, I think this is just a TSCC-wide kind of how to handle yourself policy within email and voicemail. The one that made me laugh was no text speak, right? That's fine. Yeah, I'm good with that. It's fine. Anyway, this is the only thing that you actually have to do in the getting started section. Meet your instructor and classmates. I've seen that some have already put that in, so thank you for that. If you have not done this and you're watching this video right now, yeah, go ahead and give this a go. I know this is the grown-worthy stuff, right? Like the getting to know yourself. You probably do this in every single class, and you probably copy and paste. Hey, you know what? That's good enough for me, right? If you've already done this in somebody else's class, you can totally just copy and paste it over here. But this is really for me to get to know you, right? We don't get to walk into a classroom and have eye contact and do all of that stuff. So this is the closest I get to getting to know that you spend 6.5 hours playing World of Warcraft or something like that, right? So yeah, I won't share any of this with anybody else. Actually, I don't even know that I don't know that y'all can see each other's stuff. But now that I say that, you might be able to. So anyway, nothing too crazy personal. But yeah, just let me know. Give me a little idea of what's going on. And especially this question here. This one's the most interesting thing to me. Have you done this before? I imagine you've heard this topic at least once in your time here. So if you have used this stuff, this is the question I'm really interested in. So yeah, do answer that one. But that's it for getting started anyway. So yeah, just you don't really have to keep an eye on this announcements feed. It's going to go to your email. Same with the Q&A forum. That I think is going to be the biggest thing. So just watch your email for anything that I'm throwing at you, just in case. Everything else just resources, but do the meet your instructor thing. That way I can get to know you a little better. All right. So now we're actually into the stuff. So if you come over here, click on Unit 1, or if you click on the class up at the very top and scroll down just a little bit, you'll find it. And here, you'll find everything that you need to do. So Unit 1 starts week 1. Unit 2 starts week 2. Unit 3 starts week 3. So that's gonna be how it goes. That'll be the cadence. And again, if you need to deviate from that cadence in any way, please let me know. Keep in touch with me. Keep me in the loop, and we can figure out how to get it done. So this intro section is basically going to have a basic overview of what you're going to do every single week. It's going to have a checklist for you, so you know exactly what's coming at you. And I mean, this is not a bad idea to just copy and paste this out to a notepad or something like that and just add an asterisk to everything that you've already done. That way, you have a good idea of what you got left and whether or not you need to email me in a panic, right? So keep an eye on that. Know what's coming down. I will make sure that calendar is here. I don't know why it's not. It is in my other classes. I guess maybe I've missed it on this one. But anyway, I'll get that calendar out here. I believe you have the calendar anyway, right when you log into Moodle. You should see, oh yeah, here it is. So you should see in this timeline that you should have 3 assignments for my class in this timeline. So that will keep you on track. But again, just having a checklist for yourself tends to help. It helps me. It may or may not help you. So in pretty much every section, you're going to get one of these, which is a PDF extract of a book. This is why you do not need a book. I'm giving you the most important junk out of that book. And this is what you're going to focus on. And not only that, this is what the quiz is focused on. So I have no problem whatsoever with you using this resource while you're taking the quiz. But I do want you to, at the very least, skim this. So make sure you have a good idea of the information in here, because it's going to come in handy as we move forward. And especially as we get into the other units, a lot of this stuff is going to keep popping up over and over and over and over again. Right? It goes over a bunch of different stuff, kind of the history of virtualization, where it came from, why you want it. One of the early solutions like Connectix, Microsoft bought that up, turned it into Hyper-V, which some of you probably have already used at this point. And as you go in, it gives you, again, the reasons why you want to do this kind of thing. So this particular resource is going to come in really handy for pretty much everything in the week. Like I said, it's directly related to the quiz. The lab and the case unit, the unit case project will benefit from a lot of that information. So look at a few other things. So VMware is probably the biggest player in the game. At least right now, Hyper-V is making inroads, but it's VMware. I mean, if you go work at a data center that does pretty much virtualization all day, every day, there's a good chance you're going to just run into VMware, which is vSphere, vCenter, and vSAN, and v this, and v that, and v everything, right? So it is a good idea to, at the very least, just come onto this page and watch this virtualization basics video. It's really quick and gives you that broad overview of, right, this is, we're just doing computers inside of computers, inside of computers, inside of computers. That's quite literally what virtualization is. So we'll talk about it a little bit more here in a minute. But anyhow, pros and cons of virtualization. So article written quite a while ago, but the idea with this is, and this is kind of mentioned in your book as well, one of the big reasons that you want to do virtualization in the first place is that it costs way less for the price of a couple of Windows licenses. You can run an entire stack of something like a dozen Linux servers or something like that. So it really kind of depends on where you're working and what kind of solution you're looking for. That Windows, Linux, whatever virtualization will even be on your radar, but likely at this point, virtualization is definitely there. But efficient resource utilization. I think one of the big things is that back in the day, you ran one server, and that server ran one or two applications. So if you're looking at web applications, you probably had one server that ran, I guess, either Microsoft IIS or Apache. I guess it's just Apache. The Apache web server, or more modern, you're looking at Nginx. And that was pretty much it. You may have run an FTP server on top of that so that you can, add and remove files remotely. But it was pretty much just that. And if you needed a database, well, that was on the server, the next server over. And if you needed monitoring a solution, that was the next server over. And if you needed anything, right, any new application that you needed to run on in your network for whatever it is that you're working toward, you usually just had to buy another server, add another operating system to it, configure it to do one or two jobs, and that's pretty much it. Because as you find more and more, you're going to end up running into security policy, right? Because the question always comes up, well, why couldn't we have just run every application on one server, right? Because that would be efficient. It would be efficient, but you end up running into, especially if you have a security department, or at least one person that's job is, his or her job is meant to just focus on the security, they're going to tell you no. Well, they might employ you no. It depends on how much power you give that security person. If you give them veto power, they will tell you no. Do not do that. If you compromise one thing, you compromise the entire thing, and everything will fall down around it. So the idea is to reduce surface area, reduce attack surface, and that would be to expose the least amount. And so you can configure virtual machines to do this. So if you want to do this all on one machine, you can. You just can't install it on the operating system that machine has installed on metal, right? So like when you boot that server up, whatever operating system that boots up to, you don't want to run all your applications on that operating system. You want to run it in some kind of container. And in this case, in this class, we're talking that container is a VM, a virtual machine. So you are virtualizing away that stuff. Anyway, so it allows us to use some of these resources a little more efficiently. Right, you buy 64 gigs of RAM, you want to use all 64 gigs of that RAM, 128, 256, 1024 gigs of RAM, however much RAM you have. You want to use that as best you can. You want to get the best bang for your buck out of something like that. So, yeah, that's virtualization is a good way to do that. But right, I mean, you run into a situation where you can't just do everything. But that's the gap is closing on that. There is VTD or IOMMU technologies that you have that allow you to pass through stuff. So if you insert a card into a virtual a server that you're running, you are able to give that card, that physical card, to a VM to use, just as if just as if that VM were running on a regular computer. So anyway, good information here. And another video. So this video was added to the class to kind of give you that full explanation of what virtualization is. So do watch that. It's got a lot of good information in it. But then we get down to what I need from you. And this is going to be pretty much every week. You're going to see a quiz every week. You'll see a lab every week. And you'll see a case project every week. So the quiz itself, fairly simple. You're looking at 20 questions in this one. So if we give that a go, you'll see they're basic multiple choice. You're looking at, there are a few of the choose multiples like this here. What are some reasons for virtualizing a network, right? And yeah, definitely it's the cool thing to do. Anyhow, so run through this. Like I said, all the questions that come that are going to show up in this quiz come out of that Unit 1 PDF that was linked further up in the class. So again, I don't mind if you just have that thing open while you go through your quiz. That is fine with me. That information is going to hit you in the face one way or the other. And, the more that happens, the better off you're going to be. Repetition, turns out, is king. Practice makes perfect, right? So you get 2 attempts on these quizzes. So that means that, let me see, and average grade. So that means that if you take the quiz once and you get a 90 and you're happy with that, you don't have to do anything else. You're done. If you're happy with a 90, you can leave this as it is. However, let's say you get a 60 and you're not happy with that. And you take the quiz again and you get a 90. Your average, we're going to take the average of that grade, and that will be what goes into the grade book. So if you get a 60 the first time, and what did I say, a 90 the second time, then your average is going to be, if I can math right, 75. So that'll get you a passing grade on this quiz, and you should be good to go. All right. So the unit labs, they're going to come like this. They're going to, here, let me make that a little bit bigger. They're going to come in this form, and it's going to give you an idea of what you're going to expect. And then you're just going to step through this lab. Every step of the way, this will take care of you. So really what you're trying to do in this class is gather some information on your system. A little too big. And this tool. So if you're on a Mac, Command-Shift-4 will do the same thing. That way you can, draw a box around something, take a picture of it. Yeah. Most of us are probably not on a Mac, but anyway, on Windows, open up the Start menu and just type in snip. Yeah. That's really all you need to do. You'll find the snipping tool. They have renamed it. If you are on one of the later versions of Windows, I think they renamed it in 1909. So if you are on that version of Windows, there's a good chance that it's called Snip and Sketch. But one way or the other, snipping tool, snip, you will find it if you just type in snip into the Start menu. So this is going to be the way where as you go and investigate things, as you look at things, as you do things, I will likely ask you to take a screenshot of what you see. This way I can go back and find out whether or not you configured something correctly or if you're looking in the right spot, et cetera, et cetera. And this is also a fantastic tool for when you run into problems. If you run into an issue and you're like, well, I got an error message. A lot of times those error messages you can't copy and paste. So copy and paste the text out of that error message to email me. So one good solution to that is we'll take a snip or a snapshot or a screenshot or whatever of that error message and send that to me instead. That way I get to read the error message and get a much better view of what it is that you're running into each time. So anyway, we're just taking a look at your system, looking at how much disk space you've got left, just to kind of get an idea of whether or not you're ready for installing a virtual machine solution of some kind. But again, I mean, it gets pretty in depth, right? I mean, down to the click this, click that, click OK, click cancel, click X, click whatever. So same here. Now, let's see. This link will take you to a directory that has a ton of stuff in it. You're not going to need the server 2019 eval, but you will likely need these other three. So one thing that you can do, the instructions tell you to just download the whole thing. And you can. You'll likely need the server 2019 eval sometime in the future. Not in this class, though. I don't believe I ask you to use it at all. So you can skip it for here. But, I mean, if you want to just get it and you have the disk space available, download. Just grab the entire everything. That way you don't have to wonder whether or not you got everything. However, I did note that some people did have issues doing this download. So there's nothing wrong with going into each of these and then just downloading the single ISO that's in them. Right here. And then into VMware Workstation. This is just an executable. So you can download all those. And like I said, you're not going to need this one for this class, so don't bother. You don't have to. But if you want, you can just download the whole everything and get that taken care of. Oops, I think I closed it. Get back down there. There we go. Yeah, and she notes Zen server's been removed, so yeah, don't expect to see that particular folder in there. But either way, the three that I've mentioned, Server 2012 R2, VMware, vSphere, and VMware Workstation, those are the ones that you want. All right. She notes, yep, zip the file, and then you extract them from each if you download that whole thing. Okay. And we're trucking it all into the C drive. But I think that's pretty much it. Yep. Go to your folder. Yep, and then take a snapshot of it. All right. So the real thing that you need to know about this is that what I would like is for everybody to submit a PDF. Moodle loves PDFs like a lot. It renders them better. DocX is okay. Moodle will render that. But when I go to grade, I'll typically go in here, and I'll see a big long list of everybody's stuff, and I will really just go down the list. Moodle will display it for me, and the easiest way for Moodle to do that is in a PDF. So one of the easiest ways for you to get your stuff done is, so say you're working on Lab 1, you're getting your submission ready, you're taking these snapshots with the snip tool, snip and sketch, whatever tool. The easiest way for you to gather up all of those snapshots is in Google Drive. You have access through your MyMail account to Google Drive and a lot of storage. Not that you will need a ton for the documents or anything like that, but you do have the ability. So come here to New, open up a Google Doc. You don't have to do this stuff in this order, but, right, Unit 1, something like that, right? I think it actually has instructions on how to name it. I'm not going to be too much of a stickler for the, oops, wrong thing. I'm not going to be too much of a stickler for the naming scheme on it. Moodle kind of keeps track of that for me. But name it well. That way you can keep track of them. One thing I will do as I'm grading, if you're missing something, looks like for some reason what you're missing was a mistake or something like that, I will ask you to give that to me, right? Like, hey, you're missing a screenshot, whatever. Can you just send that to me or something? If you keep these documents handy and you have that screenshot, you can just resend me what you need or what I need. Yeah, so this says lab 1, your name. That's fine. So we'll name our thing that. All right, so the big deal with this is, let's say, I keep closing that window. Let's say this is the screenshot that we want. Mine comes down here. You can just copy. You don't even need to save the image. This works this way in the Windows snipping tool, snip and sketch tool as well. If you just hit Control C while the window is in focus, you're able to go straight to your document. Excuse me. And paste it in there. And then you can come up here and say something like, screenshot 1. And if there's a question attached to that, you can answer the question here. Something like that, right? And just do that all the way down for every single screenshot that you need. I don't know that I'm familiar with how to get disk space. Oh, you know what? It's in here. Storage. So for something like this, I would let it go. It's probably going to be done here. Oh, there it is. There it is. 252 available of 500. Right. So for the storage question, copy that. Paste that in there. Right. So it's just that simple. All right. So that's really not the hard part. I think most folks have figured out how to copy and paste by now, I would hope. But what really is important is the way that you get this. So when you're getting ready to submit this to me, don't give me the Drive link. Don't link me to anything in Drive. Download a copy of this document for yourself. And the way that you do that is right here, PDF document. Choose PDF. You can choose all the other different stuff, but again, Moodle will show me PDFs best, so please send a PDF. So when you do that, might take a second or two, but there's PDF, right? Open that up, and there it is, right? Exactly the way that it was in Drive. This is the easiest way to get stuff taken care of. Now that we have that PDF for that lab, we can come back over here, get rid of the quiz, come back over here. So you've done all the work in Unit 1 Lab, you've gotten all your screenshots, you've put it in Google Drive, you've saved a PDF, right? We're up to that point. Go to the submission. There's really nothing else to do here other than submit your PDF here. So you will have a submission box down here, and you can just add a file, or you can drag and drop your PDF into the little box down there. But that's it. Submit the PDF, and that's what I will see, and that's what I will grade. That will make it way easier on me, so I would appreciate it if you'd go that extra mile for me. Again, as I mentioned, can't get away from it, right? You'll find me here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Unit 1 case project. So every week, you'll have a case project, which is a little more free form than the labs. The idea with this is that you're going to be given kind of a word problem and an issue to think through and write notes about. So like in this case, the IT department of Rocky Edge uses 2 SUSE Linux servers, one for the accounting department, one for the marketing department. The servers are run in separate systems that are aging and don't have the capability for further expansion, right? I mean, these guys have dragged it out forever. The IT department wants to consolidate these 2 servers into one high-speed computer and is considering virtual servers for this purpose. So they're looking at running something like VMware, vSphere. VMware, the name of it is specifically ESXi. And that way they can run multiple machines. They're not stuck with just 2. So, if you get a few terabytes of SSD storage, you've got a huge amount of storage to play with. Go grab yourself something like 120 gigs of RAM, and these servers can really start chugging along. Throw a few cores into the mix, and I think you'll have a good starting solution. Anyway, they can do this with one server and then run tons of virtual servers within it. The downside, though, is if that one server ever goes away, if it ever blows up or anything happens to it, you're up a creek in that situation. So most enterprises will run 2 hypervisors and have migration available on both. But we're getting way further extracted now in the data center with containers and other kind of stuff. So it's going to be a journey. I promise you that. Anyway, because the IT manager is often on the road, he needs to access the virtual server's administrative console remotely. So this is something, the underlined text is something that you really should pay attention to. Pay extra special attention to, we'll say. So note that he needs remote access. So as you're reading through the material, as you're watching the videos, as you're going through this content, perk up for that. If you ever see anything about remote access, pay special attention to it. It's going to come in handy during the case project. Anyway, as a consultant for computer technology services, you've been asked to write a report that includes another underline, benefits of using virtualization and why, which virtualization project you recommend and why. All right. So if you've been following along up to this point and you haven't fallen asleep, you've noticed that all of these answers have come up, right? This document or this web page is a pretty good resource for why you would want to use, and this video as well. This video actually goes over a lot of the different stuff that you're going to run into. Anyway, so here's the deal. I am not an English teacher. Unless it is unreadable, I typically will not count off for misspellings or anything like that, right? If every other word is misspelled, yeah, we'll definitely have a chat about that. But if it's just 1 or 2 misspelled words in the whole document or something like that, no big deal. We'll spruce it up. If we were in a real world situation, someone would have proofread it anyway. And you'd have gone back, fixed those mistakes, and then moved on, right? There's no grading or punishment involved in something like that, and so I'd like to stay true to that in my classes as well. Anyway, but you do need sources. Tell me where you got your information. You don't know everything about virtualization, so you likely have gotten it from somewhere. So just give me a link to where you got that information from. The biggest thing about this is that there should be no copying and pasting from those resources, right? I mean, you've agreed to the student handbook and all of that other fun stuff, and you've agreed that you won't plagiarize, right? The whole idea with that, right? Just write your own stuff. That's the biggest deal. So give me the sources where you got your information from. Again, to be honest with you, right now, if I had to sit down and write a paper that were in these formats, I would have to use the reference every single time. No. I'm not going to know the difference, so don't worry about it. Right, and as you're citing your sources, just a link at the bottom is fine. If you forget this, it's not that big of a deal. It's all contained for me in Moodle anyway, so it's not like I'll be in Unit 2 grading Unit 1 or something like that. So if you miss that, no big deal. Right. So as I said before, you likely don't know this, but maybe you do. Maybe you actually do. Maybe you do work with ESXi every single day or vSphere every day. Or maybe you do work with Citrix every single day. So if that's the case, right, I mean, yeah, you can drop that down in there. If you don't have any citations or anything like that, you really do just know all this stuff and you're here for the credit, something like that, then yeah, that should be fine. Anyway, so, right. These are the questions that I'm really asking. What are the benefits of virtualization? Which product do you recommend? There's tons, right? Hyper-V is another big one. You're looking at, Citrix and VMware, and there are a couple others out there, KVM if you're on the Linux stack, stuff like that. So which do you recommend and why? And then what kind of remote solutions are we looking at? Those are the biggest deals. And again, I'm not. It does say report, but I'm really not looking for 8 paragraphs with an introduction and a wrap up paragraph with each of your points expounded in one paragraph or something like that, right? This does not have to be an English paper. I'm really just looking at a couple of sentences at least for each of these bullet points, right? So give me a couple of sentences on the benefits of virtualization, what you recommend, why you recommend it, and what kind of remote solutions we're looking at in something like this. So again, not an English class. So you don't necessarily have to treat it as such. You can use bullet points and any kind of formatting you want to, because I'm not looking for any kind of specific agreed upon formatting or anything like that. And like I said, just answer the questions. Give me a couple sentences on each, and you should be okay. All right, if you have any questions on that, please let me know. But same deal here, right? Write it in Google Drive, save it as a PDF, come over here and upload it. Drag and drop, click submit, you should be good. This is really all I'm looking for in these sections. This way I can go in and just grade and grade and grade and grade and grade. All right, so next steps are really just get prepared for Unit 2. The idea with that is if you want the videos or any of the resources outside of Unit 2, please just let me know, and I will share them, or I'll just open up the entire thing if we're moving fast. But this week, there actually is quite a bit to do this week, so take it slow. Please ask me questions, get into the groove of things, and let me know if anything goes wrong or if I can help with anything. So this video is getting a little long, but I wanted to do one more thing for y'all, which is give you an actual real life example of what all this virtualization stuff is about. So in my case, I'm using VirtualBox. I tend to use VirtualBox for pretty much everything. And the biggest reason for that is it's really accessible. It is very usable even for people that don't even know fully what they're doing as far as virtualization stuff. In my career, I've had experience with VMware ESXi and the KVM, the Kernel Virtual Manager, the Linux one. That is built in. I've, in my spare time, played with Hyper-V. Myself, though, most of the places that I've worked, we were Windows shops. We tended to use VMware. VMware has been the biggest dog in the playground for the longest time, and it doesn't really look like that's going to change at all in the future. Not until we do not need virtualized hardware software anymore at all. But the whole point of this, right? On this particular machine, I've got an SSD with 512 gigs of storage. I've got 16 gigs of RAM, and I don't know. I guess that's pretty much it, right? I mean, and a quad core CPU. That's the other big thing. So, if you want to run VMs efficiently, the more of each of those things that you have, the better off you're going to be. The whole point of having a VM is to efficiently use your hardware, because a lot of times, especially when it comes to RAM and storage, you're not using it all at any given time, right? Even if you've the current joke is Chrome, right? The more tabs you have open, the more gigs of RAM you're using up. But even if you're using Chrome, you're actually pretty hard pressed to use more than about 6 to 8 gigs of RAM, even if you've got something like 60 tabs open, doing all kinds of different stuff. Chrome does fairly well here lately doing memory management, where they'll sleep tabs, so they stay off your CPU. Your CPU's not having to crunch numbers to render the stuff in the tabs, and it dumps memory as it no longer needs it. The downside of that is when you go back to that tab, it takes a second for it to remember what it was doing. But other than that, memory management is pretty good. So with that said, saying you have 16 gigs of RAM or something like that, you've got 6 to 8 gigs of RAM free as well. So if you're using 8, you've got about 8 that you're not using. And there's a motto when it comes to trying to be efficient, and that motto is unused RAM is wasted RAM, right? Because it goes away when you reboot anyway. So if you're not using it in any given scenario, It's just sitting there idle. It's being wasted. So you want to, for the sake of efficiency, you want to use as much as you possibly can. So let's kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. So let me look here. Yeah, I'm using quite a bit. I've got recording software going. I've got WebEx going. I've got Chrome going, and I'm about to have a VM going. So I'm sitting at about 9 gigs used, but I still do have about 6-ish gigs to play with, and that will give me enough to run a couple of VMs in the background. Most VMs don't need something like 4, 8, 12 gigs of RAM. Just a couple will do. In this case, Windows 10 is using 4, as you can see over here. Linux using 2. Windows Server using 2, and pfSense using 1, right? So you don't need a whole heck of a lot to make this stuff work, especially if you're not doing all the other stuff I'm doing in the background. I assume I have something installed on here. We'll find out, right? That is probably, if you've ever installed Windows before, that is familiar. Right, one of the coolest things that you can do with virtualization is if you're on Mac, you can run Windows and Linux. If you're on Windows, you can run Mac in Linux. If you're on Linux, you can run Windows and Mac in a virtual machine where this is not, natively available to you. We have a lot of solutions coming forward that are based on virtualization. We've got Windows Subsystem for Linux. So in your Windows machine, you can install what's called WSL2, Windows Subsystem for Linux, and you quite literally get a command line interface that is just Linux. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think I can do nested virtualization here, which is, so you're running a VM, right? And nested virtualization is this idea that you can run a VM inside of a VM. Right. So my Mac is running one VM of Windows, and inside of that VM of Windows, I can run another VM of another operating system. And if I can do that, I'll check on that between now and the next time we meet. And if I can, I'll show you what WSL2 looks like. And it's actually quite impressive what Microsoft has been able to do with a lot of that stuff. So natively, without having to go out and install VirtualBox or VMware or anything like that, you can run a Linux VM and run a server on it, or run a web server on it, run Docker on it, which is something that you'll encounter later on. Takes that virtualization idea and makes it even more efficient. But yeah, I mean, this is what you're doing. Whether it's a desktop operating system like Windows 10 or a server operating system like Windows Server, Linux of some kind, something like that. That's what this is all about. And one of the things that you will get familiar with is that a VM is not some kind of fake computer or anything like that. It is real. It is about as real as what's running on your laptop right now. So, to drive that point home, the idea that if you come up here, click X, and power off the machine, it is the same as if you, on your laptop, unplug it from power and pop the battery out. Right? Or if you on your desktop go back behind it and just pull the power plug from out from your PC, right? That's not something that we tend to do. So yeah, these VMs will react the same way that a real live actual computer will react as well. So that means that if it's in the middle of updates and you pull the plug on it, it may or may not boot after you try to turn it back on. So treat them with the same kind of respect that you would treat a desktop PC, right? So you typically don't go behind the desktop PC and pull the plug to turn it off. You typically come here and shut it down. So do that. As you run into more and more operating systems, you will run into issues just because operating systems are funny like that. You will have some blue screen on a Windows VM or some kernel panic on a Linux VM, something like that. It'll happen. But yeah, the troubleshooting process is exactly the same. If you've had operating systems before, the class in first semester or PC hardware before, yeah, those things are probably fairly familiar to you at this point. Anyhow, that's pretty much it. So if you read the articles, read that chapter snippet, and watch the video that's linked here, and you still have questions, or that stuff didn't make sense, or that's just not how you learn, or you want a more personalized demonstration of what's going on, I'm happy to show you absolutely anything that comes up in this class. I'm happy to walk you through it. I'm happy to show you how to do it. I'm happy to put you back on the rails if for some reason whatever you did is just way off the mark or something like that and you got lost. Please just reach out, just let me know, or just drop into WebEx and we can figure out whatever it is that you need to get figured out, so that you're not sitting in the dark. I do not want you to be confused. The moment that you are confused is the moment you should reach out, ask a question, and I can help you figure it out. But that's it for Unit 1. That's it for all the introduction stuff. Thanks for hanging out with me for it's probably going to be about an hour. So thank you for that. I do appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please, please, please reach out and we'll get you taken care of. All right. Thanks much.